After a while, it becomes a life's mission, even though that's not really what you intended to do. You know, we were just looking for a horse that would last, but it turned into something totally different.
Every day for the past 30 years, Leo Kuntz and his brother Frank have fought to keep the tradition of these horses alive.
We just can't continue to throw things away all the time. You know, just destroy it or let it be destroyed.
The brothers believe these horses, called Nokota, are the last living link to the Sioux's prized war ponies. Frank and Leo are not wealthy men pursuing a hobby, but two brothers who survived the war in Vietnam, who carry a deep respect for the rich Native American traditions of their homeland.
You can trace Sitting Bull's herd right back to this part of Dakota.
The brothers choose to live hand to mouth so they can provide a living for their horses.
I don't mind this job feeding them.
Frank and Leo get up at dawn every day to feed hundreds of horses on these rugged pastures in Linton, North Dakota. If the horses were people, they would make up nearly half of the entire population of this prairie town of 1,400. The Kuntz brothers claim the Nokota horse is native to the North Dakota Badlands. There are about 1,000 left in the world, and 600 of them are right here in Linton. In 1971, the Kuntz brothers returned to their family ranch in North Dakota after one tour in Vietnam. They were interested in breeding racehorses until they stumbled on the Nokota at nearby Theodore Roosevelt National Park. The brothers bought their first Nokota from the park for $170. The remaining horses were sold for slaughter. The horses from the park were sturdy and intelligent. Frank and Leo were quickly smitten, so they kept coming back to the park for more.
They're all different. Just like people, like your children, very much so, yeah. And you start looking at it that way, you know what I mean, like your family, you know.
They're some of the smartest, kindest, trusting horses I've worked around and been around. It was their bone and their brains. And, you know, that really piqued our interest more than anything.
The brothers collected literature and documents, including DNA tests, and a 3-year historical study conducted at Harvard University. They concluded the horses descend from Sitting Bull's herd of war ponies. Horse culture was especially important to the tribes of the Dakotas, one of the last areas in the country settled by white men.
We were afraid to tell the national park what we thought was possible or what, you know, evidence was showing us, because we were kind of afraid they were going to take them away from us.
But the park had no interest in preserving the Nokota. They continued to crossbreed the remaining horses so that today no pure Nakotas roam the national park.
We don't really call our horses Nokota horses very often. These are more or less a historic exhibit that we maintain so that visitors can have a sense of what it was like when there were wild horses running free here in the times of Theodore Roosevelt.
As a result, the herd has totally changed.
Even their social structures changed, their language. They've lost things out there that I don't know that they'll ever get back. I would really like to see the older line horses reintroduced into the national park. It should have been the national park's job, if you ask me, you know.
In 1991, the Kuntz brothers went straight to the state legislature and lobbied to get the Nokota named North Dakota State Horse. But instead, the brothers were mocked and told to quit horsing around.
These are horses that my grandpa, my dad, and my brothers took care of horses.
Like the brothers, Native American artist Butch Thunderhawk appreciates the importance of the Nokota. He grew up on the Standing Rock Reservation, where Sitting Bull spent his last days.
And, there's no understanding of those horses. If that horse disappeared, it's like part of my life, part of our life, part of our traditions, part of our culture disappeared with it.
Thunderhawk sees the brothers' fight as one small way to honor Indian heritage after centuries of discrimination against Native Americans.
When I went to Japan, I was treated better there than I was treated here in the United States.
Frank and Leo refused to let the issue die. They went back to the capital 2 years later, and in 1993, the Nokota became North Dakota's state horse. That was a small victory for two brothers facing another uphill battle. Frank and Leo both have prostate cancer. They receive veterans' disability checks each month to treat their cancers. But with that money as their only source of income, the brothers have chosen not to receive treatment and to guarantee a life for their horses instead. Frank and Leo spend about $500 a year on each of their 600 horses, and the stress of the mission has also cost Frank his family farm and created tension in the Kuntz family. The horses even cost Frank his first marriage.
It's split the family, it's brought them together, it's split the family, it's brought them together, it's split the family. My first wife, she could have cared less about these horses, but in fact she blamed a lot of the problems on the horses.
If the horses weren't there, it's like I think he would just shrivel up and die.
Fortunately for Frank, his second wife, Shelley, shares his dedication.
Part of what attracted me to him was that passion that he had, and you can just see it when he talks. He gets very animated and talks fast and loud and forcefully, you know, because he believes so much in these horses and their history and that they belong here.
Shelley gave up her full-time insurance job to lead the conservancy they founded to save the horses in 1999. She says it's been a labor of love and sacrifice.
We don't have a house, we don't have land, we don't have stuff, but, you know, in the end, you know, financial status, I guess, isn't everything.
Shelley, she asked me if I had to make a choice between the horses and her. I felt it was such an unfair question. I never answered the question, really, and she never asked it again, either.
But as the brothers' health declines, one main concern arises. Who will continue to fight for the Nokota?
Okay.
I've always respected them a lot, both of them a lot. Every penny they get, they put into the horses.
8 years ago, 26-year-old Seth Ziegler stumbled upon Frank and Leo's website and chose to volunteer on the ranch instead of joining the Marines.
It's undeniable that there's something unique. They are living history, and that's better than any other kind of museum to me.
And Frank is grateful that the horses have romanced another younger soul to carry on his life mission.
I've always kind of said that I'd be there, so I don't know how it's going to play out. I don't know where I'm going to be. But if it came down to it, that it needed to, yeah, because it's something that I feel is kind of more important than what my personal life would be.
But for now, Frank and Leo aren't going anywhere.
I've been tempted to run off many times. I don't know what it is. It's the horses themselves. You know, when you work with them and stuff, you realize that they are really good horses structurally, mentally, and that they have a right to go on.